watching the English newscast here on Future Television. I'm Lena Tamim, and these are today's headlines. 2 of 3 Middle East Airlines flights transporting several Lebanese nationals who had been stranded in Turkey since Friday arrived in Beirut. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan vows to continue to clean what he called the virus responsible for Friday's coup attempt. 6,000 people are detained so far. And pro-Syrian government forces and their allies closed the only road leading into the rebel-held side of Aleppo. 2 of 3 Middle East Airlines flights transporting several Lebanese nationals who had been stranded in Turkey since Friday have arrived in Beirut this afternoon following an attempted military coup against the government. An airport source said the first flight took off from Beirut's Rafiq Hariri International Airport this morning and arrived at about 1 p.m. from Istanbul's Ataturk Airport with 140 passengers on board. A second plane landed in Beirut at 2:05 p.m., bringing back 80 passengers. A third plane is due to arrive at 10:15 p.m. this evening, according to the source, which added that 4 Turkish Airlines flights have also been transporting Lebanese from Istanbul to Beirut since last night. Speaking to Al Jadid television, Lebanon's consul in Istanbul, Hani Shmeitilli, said it was dangerous for anyone to leave the airport on Friday due to the curfew that had been imposed by renegade elements in the Turkish military across the country. 6,000 people have been detained in Turkey so far in relation to the failed coup, with more detentions expected. Broadcaster NTV quoted Justice Minister Bekir Bozdağ as saying the judicial process on this will continue. The government quickly began a purge of soldiers and judiciary officials allegedly connected to the plot after it became clear the attempt had failed on Saturday. Tensions remain high in Turkey as a few groups supporting the failed coup attempt remain at large. Julie Nose reports.
Tensions remain high in Ankara and Istanbul, a day after a failed coup attempt shook Turkey's 2 main cities. Damaged police vehicles and debris lay in the now quiet streets. At least 265 people were killed when an armed faction of the military tried to seize power. Turkish officials said on Sunday that a few groups of coup plotters have yet to surrender, but that control has been restored throughout the country. Newspaper headlines decree the victory of democracy and the democracy saga as residents condemn the attempted overthrow as a betrayal. This is the biggest betrayal of Turkey, this person said. Even planning such a thing is childish. Nearly 3,000 suspected military plotters and thousands of judges were detained for their supposed involvement in plotting the coup.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has vowed to continue to clean what he called the virus responsible for Friday's coup attempt from all state institutions, a reference to his longtime adversary, U.S.-based cleric Fethullah Gulen. Speaking at a funeral of people killed in Friday's violence, Erdogan said the coup attempt by the terror group led by Gulen was put down by national will. He said members of the Gulen group, which he said have ruined the armed forces, are being arrested in all ranks within the army. Moving on to Lebanon, Health Minister Wael Abu Faoud has called for the reopening of a UAE-built hospital in the southern border town of Shibha following the death of a local resident who was not treated quick enough following a car accident. Shortly after its opening in 2008, the Khalifa bin Zayed Hospital was closed due to internal disputes. It aimed at serving 35,000 local residents. Abu Faoud said in a statement that the people of South Lebanon, particularly those from the Shibha, Arqoub, Hasbaya and Maj'ayun areas, have the right to demand the hospital be reopened. He linked that right to the suffering endured by them under the Israeli occupation. Lebanese Forces leader Samir Jaja says Lebanon is still in good shape despite the harsh political and economic conditions in the country, adding that his party was exerting all efforts to elect a head of state. Jaja made his comments at his residence in Ma'rab as he met with a public delegation from South Lebanon's Jazin. Security agencies have repeatedly said that Lebanon was stable despite the series of suicide bombings in the country. Pro-Syrian government forces and their allies have closed the only road leading into the rebel-held side of Aleppo. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights told Reuters that government forces and members of Lebanon's Hezbollah group had reached the strategically vital Castello road, closing it and raising fears of a humanitarian disaster. The troops had reached a point where they could fire on the road earlier this month, effectively cutting it off, but many people still risked the dangerous journey. The Castello road had been used by rebels, but also by shopkeepers and people visiting relatives in Aleppo. On Saturday, at least 28 civilians, including children, were killed in a bombardment of the rebel-held eastern districts, according to the observatory. Abu Dhabi used to own a factory in Darha which produced the traditional Syrian sweets known as raha, a delicacy the town is known for. When his factory was bombed, Abu Dhabi fled with his family to Jordan. From a small caravan in Zatari refugee camp, Abu Dhabi decided to start making the famous sweets again using basic tools. The profit he makes is small, but Abu Dhabi continues to make the sweets to keep memories of home alive. More in this report.
Home might be far, but Abu Rabia, a master sweet maker in Syria, is back. Using basic ingredients, he is once again making the popular Syrian sweet called raha.
هاي اسمغوش بالحلو، لا فيها دهونات، لا فيها سمنه، لا فيها زيت قرن ولا شيء، هاي فيها عباره من السكر ونشا قمح.
At the age of 10, Abu Rabia was making raha. Later, he would own the factory that had been in his family for 3 generations. The war reduced it to rubble, but his memories live on.
بتنسيني من قعدتي هون بحس حالي انه بسوريا. شايف شلون؟ بس لي ساعتين زي ما شفتيني ليه صار لي بشتغل بيها من الصبح للساعة عقلي مش بالاردن صار عقلي بسوريا.
When he sold the first batch, no one believed it was made in the camp.
الراحة صعب حدا تشتغل يدوي، مستحيل. بتحدى أي واحد أي معلم راحة هسه حاليا يجي يشتغل لي راحة يدوي صعب بشكل صعب.
It has taken Abu Rabia 4 years to perfect the process. But sales are going well.
هاي واحد تورين عمي، هاي شغل درع البرد. يوم شوف الراحة يصير يقولوا هلا ايام اول هلا يوم كنا بالحصيده ناكل وراحه ويجيبوا لنا هون. هاي ذكريات اللي نعم هذا الكلام صح. هاي بتفتح جروح على الناس كلها والله.
Some buy, others eat on the spot. Abu Rabia may not have his factory, but his handmade sweets give back a little piece of home to those who eat it.
Terrorist attacker reportedly sent a text message minutes before the attack asking for more weapons. More details coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching the news in English. French authorities withdrew police vans blocking off the promenade in Nice just hours before a 19-ton truck crushed at least 84 people to death in an Islamist terrorist attack. The disclosure raises serious questions over the security for the 30,000 people who had gathered on the Promenade des Anglais for the Bastille Day fireworks. Just 60 officers were on duty despite France being on heightened alert and concern that Nice was likely target for attack because of the large number of jihadists from the city who had already traveled to Syria. French Interior Minister Bernard Cazeneuve says the attackers somehow became rapidly radicalized and hadn't shown up on any anti-terrorist intelligence radar. Republican U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump has introduced Mike Pence as his running mate, calling the Indiana governor his first choice. At a formal announcement in New York, Trump also acknowledged that one of the reasons he selected Pence was to promote unity within the Republican Party. Pence headed back to Indiana later in the day, where he urged supporters to vote for Trump, whom he called a good man who will make a great president. Pence has also served as governor of Indiana since 2013 and also represented the state in Congress for more than a decade.
I found the leader who will help us deliver a safe society and a prosperous, really prosperous society for all Americans. Indiana Governor Mike Pence was my first choice. I've admired the work he's done, especially in the state of Indiana. I would like to introduce a man who I truly believe will be outstanding in every way and will be the next Vice President of the United States, Governor Mike Pence. Thank you.
And I accept your invitation to run and serve as Vice President of the United States of America. To every American who shares our convictions, I say to you, join us. For the sake of our security, for the sake of our prosperity, for the sake of a Supreme Court that will never turn its back on our God-given liberties, let's come together as a party and a people and a movement to make America great again, and that day begins when Donald Trump becomes the 45th President of the United States of America. Thank you for the honor. Thank you for your support, and God bless the United States of America.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of the headlines. 2 of 3 Middle East Airlines flights transporting several Lebanese nationals who had been stranded in Turkey since Friday arrived in Beirut. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan vows to continue to clean what he calls the virus responsible for Friday's coup attempt. 6,000 people are detained so far. And pro-Syrian government forces and their allies closed the only road leading into the rebel-held site of Aleppo. Those are your top stories for this Sunday. I'm Linda Tamima. Thank you all for watching.
وأرجو الإحسان والإحسان